Okay, so here we are in Sedona again. We are at the airport overlook, which is where everybody comes to see the sunset. And the sun is going down and the wind is picking up a little bit and there are airplanes. So we apologize in advance for the noise.
If it happens.
If it happens.
So in today's video, we're creating A7 cards from the O'Keefe stencils that Elizabeth designed, and we're using, this is a piece of printer paper. We're using a handy dandy viewfinder that helps us isolate, this is 5x7 on the inside. It helps us isolate the part of the print that we want to feature on the card front. So the deal for today is that we'll give you one of these, and it's cut not from printer paper, but from our white, smooth, and sturdy paper, which is considerably sturdier. And we'll give you...
smoother.
And smoother, indeed it is. If you buy just one of Elizabeth's stencils, it doesn't have to be an O'Keefe stencil, it doesn't have to be anything special, just pick one of her stencils. If you buy one, we'll give you the smooth and sturdy viewfinder. You don't have to do anything, the warehouse will know, there'll be a little note on your invoice, and the warehouse will know to include one in your package.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Can I look through that? Can you frame me in that viewfinder? Right there we go. Look at that.
Yes, isn't
Fantastic.
she fabulous? That's what you want to isolate on your card front. In the past, I've had customers suggest to me that they can't find a good way to use a 9x12 print to make a card. And so Elizabeth and I talked about it extensively and decided we wanted to show you a way that you can make cards from her 9x12 prints. And the key to that is the viewfinder that we showed you just a moment ago in the introduction. It is very helpful to have this silly little piece of paper. Now, obviously, yours is going to be a little sturdier than this. This is just cut from printer paper. But you're going to be able to, with this, so let's just do this kind of one print at a time. And this is a fairly light print, but you can see that by sliding this around, because this opening is exactly 5x7, by sliding it around, it affords me the opportunity to see if there's a part of this design that I think would make a good card front. Now, because that print is light, it's a little harder to see. But if I were to bring in something like this, I love this portion of this. Now, do I want it centered? Probably not, because it looks a little goofy to my eye that way. But if I bring it up here, or I slide it down here, or I turn the entire print this way, now I have the opportunity. So here's a perfect spot for a sentiment. I'm not going to obscure any of the design. So I have the opportunity to really examine a print in a multitude of ways to decide if I think that there's something suitable in there. So for example, if I come over here, I think, again, I've got a spot here where I could put a figure or a sentiment. And again, you just move this around until you find a way that you think that it works. So I have this print, and if I look on the back, this is the print that's from the stencil that's named Music. It's a good thing I have Cliff Notes, because otherwise I would have forgotten. And I have 3 pieces. So this is the Art by Marlene, the Golden Oldie Collector Book. And I've taken 3 of the larger women from that. And I have them here. I want you to see them, because this one, being shaped the way that she is, affects how I'm going to do this. My first thought, if you hear noise in the background, that's Elizabeth. She's over there printing like a crazy person. And
I can't stop.
There you go. She can't stop. So I had thought that I would do this. I like the fact that this is turquoise. It's one of my favorite colors. So I thought I would put her like this, or I could put this figure here in this opening that seems to me that it's perfectly made to put something in there to highlight it. So I have this larger figure that I could put in there. And then when I looked at this one, I thought, well, I like her, but her feet want to hang off the card, and that's not what I wanted. So if I turn this all the way around like this, and let's kind of do it this way, and I put this on here, now I can use that spot for this figure, and I can lay her down where I kind of want her to be, and then I just move the viewfinder until I get her positioned in a way that I think that works. Now I could go up this way a little bit more if I wanted to. I can squeeze her around, or I can completely ignore this and find a different spot on here like this, where she's more at the top. The joy of the viewfinder is that it allows you to pinpoint an area that's the exact size of your card, so you can figure out what you want to do. So I'm going to break here. I'm going to figure out exactly what I want to do. I'm going to assemble the front of the card, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Here is my almost finished card, and you can see that I still have a chunk of this print left that I could use on a smaller card. I could use it on a journal page. I could tear it up. There's lots of different ways, and I'm not going to toss this. So here is my A7, my 5x7 card. all of this is ready to go. I put a border on. I felt like it was a little bit incomplete without the border. And as you know, I really do like using borders anyway. And in terms of a sentiment, since we didn't bring a die cutting machine or any dies with us to Sedona, I'm going to figure this out when I get home back in my studio. I don't necessarily need a spot devoted entirely to the sentiment. I can run parts of it along her legs, or I can spread it out however I want. And that really depends on what it is I'm going to say. Happy birthday is easy. Get well is easy. If I want to say a whole lot more than that, that's a little bit different. So this is my version of how you can take a gel print and make a card. And up next, Elizabeth is going to show you how to take those roll-off prints, the stuff that we create when we're rolling the color off of our brayer. And she's going to show you how, using one of the O'Keefe stencils, you can make a marvelous print from them.
So as Barb mentioned, I am working with our brayer cleanup sheets, where you are rolling the brayer off onto a sheet of paper on the side to clean the paint off of it. And a lot of the times these are beautiful prints themselves. Barb said that she never was keeping these and more throwing them away. So in the beginning, we were just using scrap copy paper. But now, since they have so much potential, we've decided that we should always be cleaning our brayers off on rice paper, because we can make these into beautiful prints. These can be a great base layer for prints. So I'm sure these look familiar to you. This is, when you're rolling off your brayer. And if you, kind of keep in mind that you are going to use it for a print, rather than staying right in the middle, you can kind of extend your paint out to the corners when you're cleaning your brayer, knowing that you're going to use this down the road for a print. And I do suggest using it on the good quality rice paper, so that you can make a really nice quality print at the end of the day. So I wanted to show you, these are some of our cleanup sheets. Here's what I am doing with them. I am making these gorgeous prints by using the Georgia O'Keeffe masks with an opaque paint color. It's important that you are using an opaque color, because what you want to do is block out all the pattern of the brayer cleanup in the pattern of the mask, just letting those beautiful roller colors show through the pattern. So this is a very pale blue opaque, and this one is sort of a yellow, kind of Naples yellow opaque, and you can see that all this beautiful purple showing through it. Somebody cut a party hat out of the corner of this print.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Barb. That's what that was. So that's an opaque, sort of light to medium color. This is a very light color. And then as the opposite opaque contrast, black works really well, because it's opaque and lets the lighter colors show through. So you never know. I mean, you've got really light colors here, but medium there. But the black is also opaque and enough of a high contrast to this palette. And then this one is pure titanium white, and you can see the metallic and the dark purple pattern showing through there. So I'm going to just demonstrate that real quick with the one of the Georgia O'Keeffe stencils and another cleanup sheet that we actually did on the 9x12 pad of the durable rice paper that is my favorite. So what I'm going to do is use opaque teal for this, because I think that it's going to be lighter and a nice complement to this. This is pretty medium dark, so I want to go contrast, so I need to go lighter with the teal. So let's see what we've got here. I think I could green that up a little bit with a second color. We'll see how that looks. We want to make sure we have contrast. And when you're blending two colors on the gel plate, you want to make sure you take your brayer and stir it around like this. Stir it and then roll it out, so you can really get those colors mixed. If you just roll it, it tends to be slightly marbled, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you want to blend a complete color, you really need to make sure you swirl the brayer around. So add a little bit more paint to that. I'm going to go a little heavier than I normally would on the paint coverage to make sure it's very opaque, so that my pattern shows up really high contrast. That's a really nice teal. And I'm going to put this stencil into that and take my cleanup sheet and just print. And as always with these intricate cut stencils and masks, you want to make sure you use the tips of your fingers, the heels of the palms of your hand to get really good pressure and make sure the paper gets down in all the tiny details. And I always like to take a peek before I dismount the paper to make sure that I've got everything, especially like these little tiny dots and the centers of spirals. A lot of times they need a little extra pressure. So that's looking good. And then I'll lift it from the other side just to make sure. And I think that looks great. So I'm gonna slide my gel plate off to the side and look at that. That is just so beautiful. And I love the very light parts, the dark, the medium. That came out really great. So now I'm going to do the same thing that Barb did. Basically, if I wanted to use this print for a card, and it certainly has lots of other possibilities, especially since it's on that nice quality rice paper, I could use it for collage. I could use it for a lot of different projects. But as far as the viewfinder and the card making goes, here again, I would do the same thing. And I was thinking that I would really like to focus on the top of the crest of this wave in my card. So I think that would make a really nice crop for my card. But I could also envision other areas as well, abstract, really getting abstract. Here's a nice diagonal flow. So as Barb was mentioning, this viewfinder really helps you to sort of slide around your print and see what part you think would be great for that 5x7 card front. So sometimes what you think you are going to like ends up not being what you choose. So, because I kind of really like this, just like that. So if you can imagine that cropped on a card front. But like I said, use the good paper. Don't throw your cleanup sheets away. They have lots of potential. And there you go. Action.
So we did it. We created stencils and
Cut.
cut.
Baloney. Oh, we are recording.
Good. Do me a favor and cut that part out. So we did it. We actually were able to successfully create some beautiful cards, A7 size cards, so 5x7 with 9x12 stencils. Again, this very important for success, so be certain that you order at least one of Elizabeth's stencils so that you get this, because as you saw, it is critical to really finding the part of the design that you want to use.
Yeah, all joking aside, I find it super helpful because it just frames it out, and I love using it. So I hope you will too.
Bye.
Bye.
Have fun.